We're learning from the teachings of Rav Yehuda Ashlag from the Instagram account Michael Max, and so I'll read the sources that he uses, but I'm not going to include all the sources because the source here, if you want to go look, is Michael Max on Instagram, Michael Maks, and these are the teachings of Rav Yehuda Ashlag, I believe, who was the teacher of the one who started the Kabbalah Center, which is all over the world. Okay. We're actually extremely good and lofty creatures to the extent that there's no limit to our importance. We are worthy of the craftsman who made us. That's from the intro to the Zohar 5. Gratitude and praise are the vessels for receiving goodness. The more one develops them, the more one can receive, because abundance is like the ocean. The larger the vessel, the more one can draw. This is from Shemati Maimer 117, quoted in Haggadut Hasulam, page 168. Faith, which is an act of giving, belongs to a higher paradigm of consciousness than does knowledge, which is received. I'll read it again. Faith, which is an act of giving, belongs to a higher paradigm of consciousness than does knowledge, which is received. The Master of the Ladder, page 58. Which is, I think, Bal Hasulam. That's also what his name, he was also called this as a nickname, like, not a nickname, as a title, like, because a lot of them, when they write their books, a lot of the sages, the leaders, they were named after the name of their book. The nature of a branch is to stay close to its root, and the root of the human soul is the Creator. This is from Sefer Maimarim, Maimer 17, Ot 26-29, quoted in Haggadot Hasulam, page 71. When we're talking about physical entities, we understand connection as implying physical proximity between them, but for spiritual entities that do not occupy space at all, unification or separation between them is determined by whether there is affinity of form, like and like. Similarity of desire between, I added like and like. What we're reading here is similarity of desire between them. This is from the Master of the Ladder, page 244. With the Creator's help, a person derives greater pleasure from what comes out of their mouth, what they express, than from what goes into their mouth, what they consume. But this from Vayilaket Yosef 15, quoted in Haggadut Hasulam, page 189. The righteous are able to sing about what is yet to come, because they trust that ultimately they'll achieve wholeness. And that on that basis, they sing even before they've attained it. Sefer HaMaimarim LeHarabush 57445-5, Maimar 43, quoted in Haggadut Hasulam, page 68. Before doing something, one should not think about divine providence, but should say instead, if I am not for myself, who will be for me? But afterward, one should think about that the deed was accomplished not by one's own strength, but through divine power, and that it was predetermined for them. The same balance applies to physical spiritual matters. This is from Igeret Hasulam, Igeret 18, quoted in Haggadut Hasulam. The purpose of creation was in order to give pleasure to the purpose of creation, I'm assuming he means from the Creator, was to give pleasure to its created beings. It was therefore necessary to create within the souls an exceedingly large desire to receive all that he planned to give them. After all, the measure of any pleasure is proportionate to the measure of one's desire to receive it. This is from Intro to Zohar 6. Our main work is to merit and obtain vessels suitable to receiving the bounty. These are the vessels of giving benefit. Therefore, a person needs to concentrate all his labor on just one thing, the vessels of giving benefit. It's from Rav Yehuda Ashlag, Birkat Shalom, Article 14, quoted in A Tapestry for the Soul, page 160. I went to a workshop by Taylor Damiani. This is called Authentically You. And so we were learning about adaptations. These are when we learn to dwell in rejection or abandonment. It's like we adapted, even though that's not what feels good. We just learned about all the good things. So we learned about the authentic us from the Kabbalistic perspective. And now we're going to learn about, we learn to reduce our own wants with others' desires. So what's the purpose of creation? Is to give pleasure to its creative being. So we're receiving pleasure. It's about receiving pleasure, right? And bounty. And so in Taylor Damiani's workshop, we talked about roles, like the way we relate, like whether, like, let's say I'm the therapist role. It's about relating to people, or the abuse endure. It's like the unaffected one. The difficult one is when I'm the demanding one. The wise one is the one who has all the answers. The beggar, the one who's bad or undeserving. When we come from these roles, it's not about the other people's behaviors. It's about how we're identifying. She says, when should we kind of think, is this, like basically we should be looking, are these roles constricting us? Are they self-imposed, internalized? Like we needed to do that maybe when we were growing up, but now we might not need to do that. For example, looking into it, the role of chaste and being chaste. The pursuing and the being pursued is feeling like I have to prove that I care, and also needing proof that I'm valuable or that they care. And because of associating desire as security, reassurance of love, and with space and time, and it feels empty, it could be, or like something bad could happen, or that there will be unfairness, like I'll get blindsided, taken advantage of, betrayed, made a fool out of, or like that there will be unfinished business. Or what about the oversharer role? It's like to get safety, it protects the vulnerable, emotional, sensitive, shy one who's quiet, that I call weak sometimes, that I've been calling weak, not that is weak. And she's neglected, not attended to, with good food, good touch, good words, which is positive feedback, right? And maybe she rushes, she talks too much, she argues, she's pushy. But when I learn to trust myself, to take care of myself, and also let someone who's trustworthy also know about my pain, worries, fears, and my gratitude for their care. So she talks about how we are not these roles. The roles is like a chessboard. The roles are chess pieces on the board. We are the board in that analogy. The real self-awareness and identity, and it's not the roles or the pieces, but it could be a very lonely process. And just want to say, like, for empowerment, you choose from which of the many chess pieces or roles, including those you don't even know you have. And in that way, we learn about our expectations, like in the roles that we have, from what we're expecting to get from them, and also expectations of like how others should be to match when we want them to be in certain roles. And we define what it means to be a good friend. For example, let's say, you're trying to always be the good friend. What does it actually mean to you to be a good friend, or a good daughter, a good lover, a good worker? Or we could say good son, right? Also, not just daughter, etc. But she also said, we were also talking about how this could be a lonely process when we trade in the external validation for roles or whatever for authenticity. We will lose people when we become more embodied sometimes, and this temporary lonely road will actually eventually take me to be in real authentic connection with the people around me versus just being around people. So we have to look deeper. What is it? Who did I learn I needed to be connected? And that's these roles. Like, so let's say giver. The giver, from the head down, dissociating, working hard, analyzing others and the outside. And it really wants me to know that, like, it doesn't like to overgive. This one that's giving is doing it resentfully. It just wants to receive more. So it's giving to receive. And it believes I'm worthy of receiving more. So it was afraid that I would have to suppress the desires because no one will provide. It tells me I'll be deprived, unsupported, unwanted if I don't give. And in giving myself permission to be who I am, I don't need the roles or beliefs I used to have for survival. I could start to see that the suffering that happens when the roles cage could be replaced with me realizing they're only tools that I had to avoid the punishment and harm, like to be deprived or to be forgotten. So when I awaken, I can see that I can be who I am, not who I was taught to be. These ashamed or fearful parts came out of hiding. They come out of hiding, really, when we are in a state of compassion. They are the ones that bring us to wholeness. And they have gifts for us. They are our guides. And we don't need to force our authenticity. We just have to stop resisting. Like, we learn by listening and observing and being with discomfort and letting the truth emerge and speak. And I kind of think of it as getting to like that eye level with those little versions of me, so that I could, like, getting down to see them eye to eye, so I could meet them, those versions of myself, and also relate to them when they're on the outside, when they're stuck in roles. I think even my father as a little boy, I could meet inside of me. And it's just a reminder also that we can have a lot of hope here, because when we slow down, we're actually going to go much further than if we keep rushing in these patterns. They're not taking us anywhere, right? They're taking us back to who we thought we had to be, but we stop resisting who we actually becoming and who we actually are. So slow is fast here. There's something called, I've heard it called the short long way or the long short way. You might think I'm going to go quickly now, but it'll end up being a very long way because you're not making any progress. Or the long short way. You go slowly now, but it ends up becoming easier and easier and faster and faster. It takes time to really let go of those bodily urges. And there's a lot of hope for possibility of becoming truly authentic, even if it's just, for the sake of the mother, the grandmother, who are working on not having to be like in certain roles.